Hey, what's going on, guys? In case you haven't heard the great news, we just got some really good news out of the state of New Jersey. Now, today we had the Department of Justice. They filed a major brief in the Third Circuit Court of Appeals. And let's just say that if you're one of those politicians who thinks banning AR-15s and standard capacity magazines is somehow constitutional, you're about to have a really bad day.
There's literally no place we can go right now where you're not at risk of a mass shooting.
We need to take weapons of war off the streets.
Jonathan Lowy with the Brady campaign says assault-style weapons like the AR-15 have no business being in the hands of everyday Americans.
Mass killers who want to kill as many people as possible arm themselves to the teeth with assault weapons and high-capacity magazines.
We should also ban assault weapons and high-capacity magazines in this country.
When we're characterizing something as a weapon of war, it implies that there's no legitimate civilian function.
Amy Swearer with the Heritage Foundation argues those weapons are used all the time by law-abiding citizens for lawful purposes, like hunting and self-defense, and that proposed ban misses the mark.
It's not constitutional, and no, it's not going to work. The Second Amendment protects not just an individual right, but the right to keep and bear those arms that are commonly used by law-abiding citizens for lawful purposes.
The AR-15 platform is a protected firearm under the Second Amendment. So let's talk about what happened. All right, y'all, so here's the breakdown. We're talking about the Association of New Jersey Rifle and Pistol Clubs versus the Platkin case. Now, this case is challenging New Jersey's so-called assault rifle ban and its restrictions on so-called large capacity magazines, otherwise known as standard capacity magazines to us normal folk. But anytime they can use large capacity magazines, anything above 7 or 10, they're going to use that term. Now, the Third Circuit Court decided that the case was important enough to send it to en banc review. And if you don't know what en banc review is, that's fine. I completely get it. I didn't know what it was until recently as well. En banc review just means that instead of 3 judges hearing the case, you're going to have the entire court is going to hear that case. And right before that happens, the Department of Justice just stepped in and they dropped an amicus brief siding with gun owners. This is the federal government making its position crystal clear. Banning AR-15s and its magazines is unconstitutional. Yes, their words, not mine. So let's stop and talk about the AR-15 for a second, because gun control politicians love to throw out buzzwords like weapons of war. But the AR-15 is one of the most popular, if not the most, no, you know what, scratch that. The AR-15 is the most popular rifle in America. Millions of them, literally millions of them are in circulation. They're used for everything from self-defense to home protection, to hunting, to training, to competitions, and just plinking at the range. They're used for so many different things. And that's just not my opinion. That, my friends, is a fact. And under the Supreme Court's Heller decision, and more recently the Bruin decision, firearms that are in common use are explicitly protected by the Second Amendment. So when the Department of Justice steps in and says that the AR-15 is an example of a protected firearm, that's legal speak for nice try, New Jersey, but you can't just erase the Second Amendment because you don't like scary looking rifles. So now here's the meat and potatoes of the DOJ's argument. They're not mincing words. They're saying that under Bruin, the government has to show that these bans are consistent with historical tradition of firearm regulation. And guess what? There is no history of banning the most common rifles in America. None. Period. Now, this isn't just about New Jersey. This is about to have a ripple effect, because if the Third Circuit sides with the Department of Justice and the Constitution, it sets the stage for these bans to collapse across the country. California, New York, Illinois, Maryland, you name it. They all have these so-called assault weapon bans. So if one domino falls, the rest will start to wobble until they eventually fall down as well. Hey y'all, real quick, let me tell you about attorneys on retainer, because if you carry a gun for self-defense and you ever find yourself being targeted by the government for simply exercising your Second Amendment rights, you're gonna want attorneys on retainer in your corner. Look, most of these so-called self-defense insurance programs have so many loopholes and so many exclusions that they are basically useless when you actually need them. But Attorneys on Retainer is backed by a real law firm, Attorneys for Freedom, and they don't play games. This isn't some type of insurance. It's actual legal representation by attorneys who specialize in self-defense cases. That's all they do. And the coverage is available to members in all 50 states, including the District of Columbia. Now here's where it gets really good, because Attorneys on Retainer, they do not deny coverage for nonsense things like you were in a gun-free zone, your permit was expired, you had a illegal weapon, or you have a prohibited possessor status, or even if you had a drink earlier that night. Most companies would drop you in a heartbeat. AOR, they will not. And that's why I signed up with them, because when it really matters, I want people backing me up who won't hide behind fine print. Something that an insurance company would do, if you know what I mean. If this sounds like something that you need, or you just want to do a little bit more investigating, more looking into it, go ahead and use my link down below. And if you do sign up, use my promo code to get $25 off your membership. Guys, it's not a maybe. This is something that every responsible gun owner should have locked in. So you might be asking yourself, what happens from here? What happens next? Well, the Third Circuit Court is going to hear the case in en banc, meaning that all the active judges will weigh in. And if the court rules that New Jersey's ban is unconstitutional, the state is either going to have to appeal to the Supreme Court, or they're going to have to watch its gun control empire start to crumble. Either way, it's a lose-lose situation for New Jersey. Let's be real. The Supreme Court has already laid the groundwork in the Bruen case. They've said that you can't just invent new tests to restrict the Second Amendment. You have to prove that your restrictions line up with American history. New Jersey cannot do that. And now the Department of Justice is literally saying the same thing out loud. So here's the bottom line, folks. The Trump Department of Justice just took a blowtorch to New Jersey's so-called assault weapon and magazine ban. And if this case goes the way it should, it won't just be a win for New Jersey gun owners. It'll be a win for every single law-abiding American who believes in the phrase "shall not be infringed" actually means something. Politicians love to act like the Constitution is optional, but when the Department of Justice tells a federal appeals court no, the Second Amendment means what it says, that, my friends, is a game changer. Listen, I appreciate y'all watching this video up until the end. Do me a favor, if you're not already subscribed and you enjoy this type of content, hit that subscribe, like this video, and share it to other people so we can spread the word as far and as wide as we possibly can. Listen, I appreciate y'all taking the time to watch these videos. I appreciate the support that you have shown this channel. And don't forget, y'all stay safe, stay trained, and stay free. I'll see you at the next gun show. Take care, y'all.